Thank you so much, Council President. It is my honor to come here today, joined by my colega, Councilmember Eunisses Hernandez, and so many community leaders to celebrate the 60th year anniversary of the UCLA Labor Center. Go Bruins! For 6 decades, the UCLA Labor Center has provided critical research and programming that has shaped the course of the history of the city and, in my opinion, the entire country. So I want to talk a little bit about that brief history. We know that they have laid the work for the Fair Workweek Ordinance, which was passed here in council many years. We know they've done a ton of studies on wage theft that has shaped many of the policies that we've done here as well. We know that they helped pass the first statewide fast food council, but what is oftentimes ignored is that the UCLA Labor Center was a pivotal player in creating the Dream Resource Centers in California, which is where the place where a lot of the folks that came here undocumented to this country would strategize and think about how they were going to push the federal government to make sure they acknowledge their right to be in this country, that there is no such thing when you look at borders, when you look at a globe, there are no borders. And they successfully pushed the federal government at that time to pass the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which I think is one of the most monumental pieces of immigration legislation that we have ever passed, because the last time we passed anything was in 1987 with IRCA, and we can look at DACA as one that was passed, but it was because of the militancy of folks being arrested, they were able to make that happen. And that's because of the UCLA Labor Center. Their impact also extends beyond that work that I just mentioned and the movements that have grown from their decades of research, including helping create LANE, which is the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy, and also the first Black worker center in the nation, established in 2009, with by that time which is now our state senator, Lola Smallwood Cuevas. Their work has been cited in hundreds of city council motions and report, and even at least one Supreme Court argument by the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Literally hundreds, if not thousands of people have been shaped because of the UCLA Labor Center over those decades. And so now to speak more about their community work and their appropriately named James Lawson Jr. Worker Center in MacArthur Park, I'd like to introduce my compañera from the 1st District, Councilmember Eunisses Hernandez.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you so much to my council member colleague, Hugo Soto-Martinez, for bringing up this presentation for uplifting our James Lawson Jr. James Lawson Jr. Worker Justice Center that lives in MacArthur Park. I represent MacArthur Park, which is one of 22 neighborhoods in CD1, and it is truly a privilege to be able to be here with you all to celebrate the 60 years that have been filled with empowering our workers, fighting for thriving wages, helping the city become a sanctuary city. That is what was born out of this center that was born in 1964, a year that shaped how we fight for and how we win justice. Now, again, renamed the James Lawson Jr. Worker Justice Center in honor of the legendary labor and civil rights leader. This building has served as a strategic base and safe haven for our labor organizers and immigrant rights activists in Los Angeles. Again, I've seen the firsthand impact of their work with the buildings of programs that help with giving wages, thriving wages to other sectors, such as our promotoras that are always in that area, trying to plug into these spaces. I've seen the community meetings that they've held there that have led to the campaigns that have shifted the way that our city moves around thriving wages and housing justice, as we saw this past week with Tahoe. The UCLA Labor Center's MacArthur Park building will remain a cornerstone for working class Angelinos in one of the densest neighborhoods in the entire state of California. With the fight for economic justice still ahead of us, I'm glad that that space exists to continue to build power and continue to build the power of our workers. So I hope that one day we can all head down there on over to Parkview Street and stand alongside others on the front lines in MacArthur Park, because community keeps community safe. Thriving wages keeps community safe. This center helps keep our community safe. Now I would like to introduce UCLA Labor Center Director Saba Wahid to share a few words with us. Thank you.
Good morning. On behalf of the entire staff, over half of you who you can see behind me here today, Thank you so much to Councilmember Hugo Soto-Martinez and Councilmember Hernandez. And I also wanted to do a special acknowledgement of our former director, Kent Wong. Make no mistake, Los Angeles is a union town. As you heard from our council members, our city is setting a national example, showing what it looks like to uplift worker voices, pass strong labor policies, and fight for an economic equity for all. The UCLA Labor Center was founded in 1964 when the California Federation of Labor Unions demanded that the public universities serve working people. Year after year, we continue to evolve to meet the unique needs of our city's workers while staying true to our core values, strengthening research justice, and building our schools to movement pathways. Our work is guided by those on the front lines: workers, labor unions, worker centers, community organizations, and the city officials who fight for economic, racial, and immigration justice every day. We have provided cutting-edge research to ensure that our city leaders can make well-informed decisions that center worker experiences and priorities. As you know, I've always had this theory: whenever I meet a student, there's a good chance they'll be my future boss. That's because I've seen hundreds of students pass through the UCLA Labor Center and grow into our city's leaders. Whether they become public servants, union organizers, or researchers, our alumni are leading us into the next decade's fight for equity and justice for all. So right now, I'm so honored to introduce to you one of those students, and possibly my future boss, Jessica Olivares.
Thank you so much, Director Saba and Councilmembers Soto-Martinez and Hernandez. I'm a little nervous, but hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Jessica Olivares, she, her pronouns, and I am a project coordinator for the Labor Center's National Dream Summer Fellowship. Over the course of 13 years, this program has provided professional development opportunities to close to 900 immigrant youth and allies. We have been able to partner with over 265 social justice-based organizations. And I myself am a proud alumni of the Dream Summer Fellowship Program. And I was in my junior year of college when I applied to this program. I ended up stumbling upon an email that I had written for myself when I was younger. I was in my junior year of high school to apply to this program once I was 18. That's one of our requirements in case somebody wants to apply. And that simple email just completely changed the trajectory of my life, and I didn't even know it at the time. I participated in Dream Summer in 2019, and I was placed with Promesa Boyle Heights, a small grassroots organization in Boyle Heights, and I was supporting and learning about the Rapid Response Network. And there was just this indescribable feeling of empowerment as I saw folks in my cohort talk about liberation, talk about our communities in a way that we were all seeking equity and justice for our fellow community members, for our families, for ourselves. And I knew I had found something special, so the following year, in 2020, I reapplied, and I once again participated in Dream Summer, and this time I was placed with the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs at the time. And afterwards, I just couldn't leave. So when I noticed a job opening, I decided to apply, and thankfully, a selection committee selected me to become the project coordinator for the Dream Summer Fellowship Program. So it became a really full, beautiful circle moment for myself. And as I reflect on my journey in advocacy work, I look back at my younger self and remember just the constant anger that I felt at seeing our communities not receive the care that they deserve, anger at seeing the lack of opportunities for undocumented students, the lack of care our undocumented elders, and really wanting to see change. At the Labor Center, we know the fight for immigrant rights is the fight for worker rights, and that immigrant communities are the backbone of our city. The Labor Center is a testament that Los Angeles thrives because of folks committed to this work, folks that are willing to expose that we are currently the capital on wage theft and decide to make a change. These past 60 years celebrate wins, but also the reality that we can do more for one another. An exciting opportunity for all of us to be committed to worker rights. Solidarity will continue to shine for the Labor Center, and I hope it continues to shine for all of us and our communities. Thank you.
Thank you for those beautiful words, Jessica and Saba. I think I was very touched by hearing that story, and also to remind ourselves that the school to movement pipeline, it's one of the most important things we can do, because we know when young folks get a taste of their own power, when they learn that through collective action and solidarity we can change the world, I think it's a thing that hits all of us, and many of us continue that for much of our lifetime, including many of the folks here in this horseshoe, including our council president who came from that movement. So with that, Councilmember and I would like to present the UCLA Labor Center a resolution on behalf of the City of Los Angeles in recognition for all the work you've done in the last 60 years. So let's give a round of applause to all the folks here, the staff, the young folks who have done amazing work over their many course of careers.
Mr. Soto-Martinez, Councilmember Hernandez, we have a couple of speakers on the queue. We'll begin with Mr. McCosker.
Thank you so much, council members, for this presentation. Absolutely fantastic. I'll let you take a couple of pictures. I don't want to draw your attention away from the cameras. Look at the cameras. We need you. We need to memorialize this moment. This is such a great presentation, such a great moment, and I'm so appreciative of the Labor Center at UCLA. My early days of getting interested and involved in labor was at UCLA Law School. And I went to the law school too many years ago to mention here, but some folks might remember there was a professor there named Ben Aaron. And Ben Aaron was the undisputed leader of the labor movement, the academic side of the labor movement in the United States. He joined the UCLA staff in the 1940s, and I was fortunate enough for him to be my professor in a number of labor classes in the 1980s. And that really what gave me my start, my commitment, my affection for this movement. And it's so important to have the undergraduate education, so this postgraduate education was important for me. It's really important for all of us to lean in together, because this is a union town, and everybody has their role to play. And I will say the work coming out of the UCLA Labor Center in studying the issue, the existential challenge of automation in the Port of Los Angeles has been critically important. That report sits on my desk every day to make sure that we are not making this false choice between the environment and jobs. We can and have to protect both, right? And I also appreciate the work that you've done in the environmental side with what we call down in the harbor area, Local 56. Those are the environmental workers who tend to get overlooked, that are doing all this cleanup work, and they have been unionized and organized, and your work, your academic work, has given them a pathway to make sure that they have more signatories and more representation and better pay, but most importantly, better working conditions. So I could not be more appreciative of literally the decades going back to the mid-40s that UCLA collectively has done in the labor movement. So thank you and congratulations.
Councilmember Padilla.
So good morning, everyone. And I want to start off by thanking Councilmember Soto-Martinez and Hernandez for this great presentation. I'm very excited that we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the UCLA Labor Center. The Labor Center has been a beacon of justice and a driving force for workers' rights in LA. Congratulations to all of you, especially Executive Director Sabah Wahid. I want to give some special recognition to Kent Wong, as he's the one that I've known the longest in terms of the work that's been done. We all know that it was during your tenure that it was the largest growth in staff and funding. And it was also your visionary work including the opening of the UCLA James Lawson Jr. Worker Justice Center that built bridges between the traditional labor movement, immigrant communities, and worker movement worldwide. Your efforts strengthened innovation worker education programs and created invaluable student internship opportunities within the economic justice movement, ensuring a new generation of advocates for labor justice, and we see them throughout everywhere in Los Angeles finding jobs post the program. I also want to give a shout out to Victor, who many of us know as a nationally known, an expert on immigration rights and low-wage workers. But many of us in this building know him as a commissioner in multiple capacities, holding us accountable as public servants. But if you're an organizer who has read his books, you know that he is a strong advocate, letting us know that in the work for justice, we must find and strike our balance with a work-life balance, or else how do we continue? So shout out to you for what you've written and what you've done for organizers across the city. But overall, my biggest memory is that during my time at the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy, as a Valley organizer, coalition leader for the Raise the Wage campaign, it was the UCLA Labor Center that was a pivotal partner in our fight for the creation of the Office of Wage Standards here in the city. It was your expertise, your research, and on-the-ground support that made sure that in the conversation to raise the wage, we never forgot the importance of making sure that we covered those who are already not getting the minimum wage because of wages stolen. So we have to remember that, and we thank you for that. So in dedicating wage theft, especially for low-wage workers and immigrant workers, you've made an enormous difference for the workers that are most affected by the bad employers who think it's okay to prey on the vulnerable, and we thank you. So as we celebrate these 60 years of the UCLA Labor Center's tireless advocacy, we look forward to your continued work in transforming the lives of all workers in Los Angeles, and your legacy for promoting equity and labor justice will always be deeply connected to the shared successes of everyone in Los Angeles. Congratulations for 6 decades of impactful change, and here's to much more, many more.
Councilmember Rahman.
Gosh, thank you, Councilmember Padilla, for those remarks. Those were really beautiful. And thank you to Councilmembers Hernandez and Soto-Martinez for your remarks, and for everyone who spoke today. I don't know what I can add to what has already been said, but I really just wanted to rise and say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your focus on these issues. I've learned so much from so many individuals who are there. I've learned personally, our city's policies have learned from the work that you've done. You've trained so many organizers and policymakers and legislative staff who now work in the city and the county and reshape, because they do the work, and you train them. And you make sure that the perspective that the Labor Center holds dear, which is that working people deserve to live well and to live with dignity here in the city of Los Angeles, you make sure that that perspective is centered in all of the work that the city does. So I want to just thank you, and thank you to both of you for bringing this forward today, and congratulations.
Councilmember De Leon.
Thank you very much, Council President. To Saba, congratulations for the role that you lead. I want to congratulate Councilmember Hugo Soto-Martinez for your leadership in organizing this presentation here today. To my brother, Kent Juan, from which we stand on your shoulders, I want to thank you very much for the bottom of my heart for the years, if not decades, that you have invested in all of us here in the city of Los Angeles. And to Victor, my friend, gracias por todo lo que has hecho para nuestra gente aquí en Los Ángeles, particularmente los inmigrantes. Whether it's UCLA, whether it's Cal, whether it's USC, when you go on campus and you get a master's degree in business, when you go to the School of Business, it's normal. You don't think about it twice. But when you think about a labor institute, there are hardly any labor institutes. In fact, to my knowledge, there's only 2 labor institutes, UCLA and up at Cal. And we don't think twice about that. We think sometimes it's an oddity, because every graduate school you go to, there's a master's degree program for business, but never for labor. And that's why the work that you do is phenomenal, beyond phenomenal. I was proud when Ken and I work together because sometimes, administrations, they have different opinions and they have different ideas where monies and budgets should go. And, out of my own discretion, we got a couple $1 million for the UCLA Labor Center and for Cal as well, too. And we made it very clear that it was not to be commingled with the rest of the money with the UC system. That was specifically earmarked and targeted for the Labor Institute. We made it very clear with the chancellors. Can't take that money that is specifically for the Labor Institute. And we had to codify that into law to make sure there was no hanky-panky. This was for the research that was needed, and it was critical. And that research has been so critical. We did Senate Bill 575, which created the Cal Enviro screen, which now leads us to where we invest billions of dollars, particularly in communities that are most impacted by both climate change and other criteria pollutants that our children breathe into their lungs every single day. Cal Enviro screen was created through a Senate Bill 575, and the Labor Institute played a huge role in how we mapped out, because before, it was only about political power. Who had the most power and where would all this money go? It was never based on empirical evidence, whether it was in Pedro and Wilmas or Watts, whether it be in South LA or in Ball Heights, because we have 5 major freeways in that district where all the young boys and girls breathe into their lungs every day, all of that pollution. That was helped with empirical evidence that was driven by the Labor Institute. And that's why I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, because the impact has been phenomenal on public health. The impact has been phenomenal on our young dreamers, because the lack of courage and the conviction of those of our friends in Washington, D.C. to legalize and normalize their status has yet to come to fruition. So that's why also being the sharp tip of the spear, but also providing the empirical evidence, which is so critical. And to Jessica, to hear your powerful words, your eloquence, I thank you very much. You're definitely going to be many of our bosses, in the near future. No doubt about it, So with that, again, congratulations. Gracias, Hugo. Felicidades a ustedes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilmember De Leon. And I just want to associate myself with all the comments of the members of the council and thank Councilmembers Hernandez and Soto-Martinez for bringing here today. A special shout out from me to Victor and Kent, who are part of the community who raised me up as an activist. And just close with this, as Mr. De Leon alluded to, the Labor Center, which is named for Reverend Lawson, is a product of struggle. It was a struggle to get it, and it has been a struggle to keep it. I lost track of the number of times I got a call at the Community Coalition saying, we need to go to this hearing and testify that we have to keep the Labor Center and we can't move. When there are budget cuts, the Labor Center would always come up as something that was on the chopping block. And as Mr. De Leon said, the business schools were never on the chopping block. No one ever dreamed of touching those. And so this is a product of struggle and a demonstration of what we can build together when we struggle together. And so with that, we thank you on behalf of the people of the city of Los Angeles and beyond. Councilmember Soto-Martinez to close.
Much for those kind words, my colleagues. So let's give it up one more time for the amazing institution that is the UCLA Labor Center. And here's to 60 more years.